Hi, this is Jeffrey Childs, one of the hosts of The Cheap Seats. Thanks for listening to our show on Public House Media.
Hi, this is Emily.
This is Lindsay.
And this is Elizabeth,
co-hosts of Beauties and Headcanons here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Once you are done with this episode, we hope you'll come check out our show, Beauties and Headcanons, where we talk nerdy to you about fandoms, fan fiction, and all pop culture for nerds that you can think of. A new show comes out every Friday.
Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Beauties and Headcanons. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Today's verse of the day comes from Luke 6, verse 37. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Good morning and welcome to the Verse of the Day podcast presented by Public House Media. I'm your host, Baxter Colburn. Thank you very much for joining me for another episode of Verse of the Day. I hope that wherever you are in your day, whatever you might be doing as you're listening to the show today, that your life is going well and that you feel the true presence of God surrounding you. Quick reminders for you before we jump into the show today that we are on Apple Podcasts among numerous other podcast platforms, and we'd be grateful that if you do enjoy the show that you would subscribe and that you would share it with your friends as well too. We are trying to spread the more new age relatable ways of how we can look at scripture with our friends, with our family, and those that might not even be believers yet as well too. This would be a great easy way for you to be able to share this podcast with them. We are also on Facebook and Instagram. We have daily shareable graphics that come out as well too. Please take some time to share those and to just put a little bit more positivity into our social media news feeds as well too. I love this verse because anytime we get the opportunity to look at a verse directly from Jesus' mouth, you know it's going to be good and you know it's going to just convict you to your soul, to your absolute core being. I love it because listen again what he says. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. That seems pretty straightforward. I don't know how there can be a lot of anonymity or a lot of uncertainty about what exactly God is saying in this specific sentence, right? What Jesus is saying to us. Let's look at this one more time. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. So what does that mean? If we are not judging others on their looks, on their appearance, without getting to know them, if we wrongfully judge a person, then we ourselves will not be judged. Because ultimately we will be judged at the end of our lives by the most important judge, God himself. But why do we, as lowly sinners on this earth, feel the need to judge others based on who they are and how they choose to live their life? Now, I do agree that there are ways that we need to make sure people live their life in a law-abiding, positive, encouraging way, because, of course, the last thing we need is people running around waywardly sinning, but not judging, of course. So you need to make sure that you're putting your money where your mouth is as well, too. It's great to just be like, I'm not going to judge anybody. You can do what you want. But if you're still living a life of sin and doing a lot of terrible things on a daily basis, it's not helping anybody. You're not helping your case for securing a place in heaven with God. So, going along with that, do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. We oftentimes love to throw the blame on people, like we mentioned on the podcast yesterday, right? We love to condemn others. We're so quick to associate a terrorist attack with someone from Middle East culture. We're so used to saying that someone that goes in school, shoots up a school, is someone that has mental problems. We're so used to hearing police sirens in a big metropolitan city and assuming they're chasing after a black person, right? We have these stereotypes. We have this pre-built-in condemnation in our minds that there are specific people, specific races, specific types of people that will always be guilty, that will never get right, that will never have anything good happen to them. And last time I checked, God didn't care what color skin each of us had, right? God doesn't plan out and say, great, the whites the Chinese and the American Indians, you guys all get to go into heaven, and the blacks and the Middle Easterns and the South Africans, sorry, you guys don't get to go. Sorry, you gave it a good life, you lived a good life, you helped people, but nope, sorry, you're the wrong color skin. Can you imagine if that's how it worked? That would be just absolutely terrible. We are all made in the likeness and image of God. And if last time you saw this, last time I saw this, we looked around the world, we all are different colors, we are all different shades, we are all different types of people. And unfortunately, racism and segregation and derogatory and demeaning language is still very prevalent in our world, based on skin color and based on ethnicity and based on background. A person, if you walk, and we see these case studies done all the time, right? You see, a black person, a Chinese person, and a white person walk into a room, they don't say a word, and you ask a random panel of people, which one do you think is the smartest one? Which one do you think has gotten into trouble with the law the most? People are going to associate stereotypes with, oh, well, the Asian's probably the smart one, the black guy's probably gotten into legal trouble the most, and the white person is probably a good law-abiding stand-up citizen. Isn't that sad? I feel like that should make you sad, because that makes me sad that that's the case, that that's the world that we live in. And it's hard to break away from those stereotypes, because obviously, yes, there are stereotypes because there are those within said races, within said genres, that commit the crimes, that keep the stereotype alive, of course. But who are we to condemn them when we ourselves are also sinning and also doing terrible things as well? No one race, no one color is exempt from judgment on the final day when God comes to judge and separate the sheep from the goats. Finally, forgive and you will be forgiven. Forgiveness is not easy, and I feel like we half-heartedly give it out nowadays, because we are so used to saying, yeah, I forgive you. But are we actually forgiving a person? Are we actually getting rid of those negative, hurt feelings that have been welled up inside of us after a person that we love causes pain in our life? See, forgiveness is something that we need to take a page out of Jesus' book, where as he was literally hanging on the cross, blood spewing from his body, broken ribs, naked, exposed, vulnerable for the entire world, what does he say right before he gets ready to die? He pleads with his Father in heaven. He says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I can almost bet that 99.9% of us in that exact same situation would not be uttering those specific words. Can you imagine moments away from your death, looking at those people that have now killed you, that have brought this pain to you, that are ending your life, and you say, you know what? I forgive you, because you clearly do not understand and do not know what you are doing right now. That just, when I think about that and I sink deeper into that, that just hits me to my core. And that's really hard, because it's like, okay, if Jesus can forgive in that situation, literally moments before he's dying, literally staring down his killers in the face, hanging there exposed and naked, how in the world can we not forgive such small, trivial matters in our life? Right? It was just a dish that broke. It was just a taillight that got smashed. It was just a paper cut. There's so many things that happen in our life that we harbor in our relationships that tear us apart, that pull us away from God, because we don't know how to forgive. If we forgive like Jesus forgave, this world would be changed astronomically. So my challenge for you today is forgive. Do not condemn. And lean in to what God is saying to you in your life today. Because if you have people in your life you need to forgive, and you need to not be judging, and you need to go and apologize to because you stereotyped or wronged them in any way, I think you know what you need to do. And I know what I need to do in my life as well too. There are people I need to make life right with as well. take that time and be with those brothers and sisters and really make an effort to bridge that gap. We can do it one person at a time, and it starts with you. You've been listening to the Verse of the Day podcast hosted by Baxter Colburn on Public House Media. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Verse of the Day. It comes out 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The podcast can be found by subscribing on Google Play Podcasts and wherever good podcasts are found. More information about Verse of the Day podcast can be found by going to thephmedia.com.